Yeah, interestingly enough, a colleague of mine told me just a few months ago, and we were talking, and he says, Salesia, we talked about a lot of things, but I'll get to the gist of it. And he says, it's like somebody told you when you were young that you could do anything you wanted to, and you actually believed them.
That's powerful.
I showed you today. I was like, this.
Now you got to get other people in it. So I think, so we're going to start the conversation. So today, Miss Salesia Smith-Gordon.
Are we live?
We're always live.
Oh, are we?
I'm just not gonna,
gosh.
Right.
For real?
My goal is never to tell you that we're live, but we're live.
Okay. And where am I supposed to look?
We're having a conversation. So
I don't have to look over there.
This is not your regular interview. This is a pure conversation.
I love it.
So my ultimate goal is to bring value to people that's been through life, that's in business for themselves, or trying to be in business for themselves, or people that just been through trial and tribulations, that been through things, that want to get to another level.
Yes.
And you might be able to give them a little tip and trick of how you did it. So right away, Kitty London and I spoke. And I was telling her about, the show that we're creating, and we, I want to start having more conversations with different people.
Yeah, I must tell you though, what just hit my mind when you said that, I call them Jerryisms. Geraldine is my mother.
Okay.
So she goes by Jerry for short. It's, Mama's always got some, but when you say, do you want me to talk about it? My mother would say, do what I say, not as I do.
Yikes. And it sounded she was dead serious when she said that too. Right. So when I spoke with her, she, and she was like, "Ooh, I know the right person." She was like, she said she has a pharmacy degree and a law degree. I said, "Yeah, please bring her in."
Oh,
there's no way someone that been through both of those experiences of getting both of those degrees, there gotta be a story behind that. It's like there's no way. So you spoke about your mother growing up with your mom. I don't know if you grew up with mom and dad in the home.
Yes.
How was just that, the beginning, starting with that, growing with those amazing parents of yours?
Well, honestly, for what I think this probably applies to most people. What you know is what you know. Whatever environment that you're in, that you grew up in, is the environment that you know. Nobody... That's the box that you're in.
Reality.
That's your reality. My parents were interesting. They are both very, very educated. So my mother's a lawyer. I followed in her footsteps. My father was the president of Florida A&M University. And before becoming president of FAMU, he was president of Roxbury Community College in Boston.
I'm assuming you went to Bethune-Cookman.
You know what?
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that to you. Let me go ahead.
This coffee is hot. Okay. So there was an I don't even say this expectation. My reality was that I've read. I was, grew up reading the newspaper. Grew up.
But that was the culture in your home.
That was the culture in my home. So someone asked me, well, how did you know? When did you know you were going to go to college? That was a given.
That was like regular.
Yeah, that was regular. It's like, the question was, what were you going to get your degree in, and what were you going to get your tertiary degree in? Not just your BS, but you had to get a tertiary degree. And I don't know. I don't know how else to say that was my reality. I did not grow up with a quote unquote silver spoon. But we were very fortunate, very blessed because of the hard work of my parents. And, my grandparents, my grandfather, my mother's father's name's Judge. He was not a judge, but his first name really was Judge. Yeah, right, Judge. And he was a mechanic. He owned his own shop for years, and he was a businessman.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna help you out a little bit.
I'm sorry.
We're doing. No, we're good.
Okay, he was a businessman. So as my other grandfather, a businessman, he was a barber.
Mm.
And
so entrepreneurship was a thing in the house.
Yes.
And education was your normal, everyday
they
thing.
stressed. Now, my grandfather only had a second grade education, but smart as a whip. And the story, and we still stay in touch with family members, and just, it's family reunion time now too. But he walked off of the plantation, so we are just like 2 generations removed from truly sharecroppers, and not even 2. So granddad, that would be 1 generation removed. Yeah.
Wow. So then the education part. So your mom, how did she get connected to the importance of education? Her father wasn't.
He wasn't educated, but he was smart. So granddaddy, I'm a judge, but so is Lee. But granddaddy, nowadays people have calculators. Granddaddy could add, multiply, divide. By the time I put something in the what do you call it? The calculator. He was like, "This is the answer." He would know. Yeah. So
he's naturally smart.
He's naturally smart, naturally gifted. And they both knew that they wanted more for their children. I think every generation wants the generation that they bear to be better, to improve, not have to go through the struggles that they've gone to, but to improve, to step up, to step up, to step up. That is the only way to progress.
So what did more look like in the home for you? What did that look like for you guys?
More for so I'm the only girl. I have 3 brothers, and
older, younger.
1 older, 2 younger.
Okay.
Yeah. So more for us, and I'm going to say for us, meant to just simply do our best and make sure that it was our best, and whatever our best was, add a little bit more and try to squeeze some more. Another Jerryism: you got to get the butter from the duck.
You got to get, yes.
Don't ask me where that came from, but that's
I've heard it before.
That means you got to give it all you got and squeeze it out.
Now, does duck produce butter?
I'm going to act like it does. If Jerry says so, we're going with it. That's right. That's right.
So was there a lot of discipline when it comes to education, or you guys just, once again, naturally, was there anyone in the family like, you got to do this, you got to do that? Or it was just education, once again, was still part of the culture of the family?
No, I think it was part of the culture. And it was not a got to. For me, it was I wanted to excel. I mean, we had fun. I mean, we had fun.
The atmosphere for education was just...
there. I still read. I hosted a book club. I put on my posts, social media posts, some books that... I read. I try to do it monthly.
Is it an open book club for...
It was through ACABA, which is the International Korean Business Alliance. Now I'm part of a book club. I don't host a book club anymore. Time just doesn't permit. But I am a part of book clubs, even for the Bar Association.
Yeah. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit to get into... You're in college, of course, at FAMU.
At FAMU.
Which I'm not going to disrespect you again. I know how Floridians take this real personal.
We are rattlers.
And your father was also a president of the school, so you had no choice. Just want to be clear.
I had a choice, but it's the career path. I chose pharmacy, and there was no better place.
I was told
go.
FAMU have a great pharmaceutical.
It's one of the top in the country.
So you got in there. So you said, all right, I'm leaving high school. I'm going into pharmacy. When did you get the next bright idea and say, I'm going to go into... How did that process happen? How did that change?
That I was going to go to law, or what I was going to do next.
Oh, give me next, after pharmacy.
Okay. So, during pharmacy, not after pharmacy, but during pharmacy, even before pharmacy, I thought that I was either going to go to med school or veterinary medicine. Law was not on my radar. It really was not on my radar. And I still think I would have been a very good doctor or veterinarian. I love animals. That's a whole nother story. But
you still have time. Just want to let you know that, because if you
I know. Don't tempt me. Do not. I'm just thinking about it. But I was preparing. I was working in Winter Park as a pharmacist, and my mom called me one Sunday. It was a Sunday. I remember it. I remember where I was, and she says, "I want you, instead of preparing to go to med school, I want you to take the LSAT." I was like, "For real?" She says, "Yes, I want you to take the LSAT. Just take it." And it was like a month out before the LSAT exam. And really to appease my mother, of course, I tried to be an obedient child. I really did. And I said, okay, fine. Now, I was working, mind you, and I was working retail pharmacy at the time. Remember Kmart?
Yes.
Okay, because Kmart had pharmacy. So Kmart pharmacy. So I was working Kmart pharmacy, and we worked 12-hour days. Okay. Which means that you're there for 13 hours. You're there 30 minutes before to open up, and then you've got to close out. And I'm like, when am I going to have time? So I found a way to study when there were lulls, and breaks and people not in. And I took it. I took the exam and apparently did well.
So wait, so you already was a pharmacist.
Yes.
You decide... the great one mom decided to tell you,
Jerry says, do this.
Something else.
Yes.
You decided to go into law.
Yes.
And while you're a pharmacist working 13-hour days,
yes,
you decided to be an attorney.
Yes. Well, decided to go to law school. To apply for law school, then I was accepted. Yes.
How does that make sense?
It doesn't. Didn't I say?
Well, then why?
Didn't I say do as I say, not as I do?
So
okay.
So the why is. Truly, the why is your mother's influence
on me. Yes,
you.
It was my mother's vision of what she saw for me. And as she would say, I know you better than you know yourself. I kind of disagree with that now at this stage in life.
Of course
but of course I do. But there are things that I think parents do see. And that's a blessing. When parents can see, or I say parents, but it can be anybody in your life, can see something, I don't say greater than you, but further than you because of their maturity or their knowledge of you and their knowledge of the trends and what's going on in the world.
But there's that little thing of trust, though, in that process. So
yes.
A lot of children distrust their parents' vision in the full capacity.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that.
So
that's not my story.
Clearly, it's not. So I think a lot of children want to break their parents, because they might think their parents is boring or lame or just not what they want to be. But of course, their parents see more in them. Their parents probably see their personality traits. They're seeing a lot more in them. So right away, for me, I'm just trying to understand what separated you for the ones that try to go against their parents' vision. How did you get that position of trust in your mom that what she says you believe works for you?
I think in a word, it would be nurturing. In one word, I would say nurturing. Because I did not have that lack of trust in my parents, I really don't know how to address that. But I would think that was simply nurturing. We say, and I live this, we live in a village. Now, mind you, I'll be 57 next month. So in my atmosphere, I grew up in a village. I mean, I had parents, but I had grandparents. We had next door neighbors who could discipline you. That's from childhood. So I knew that people cared. My first grade teacher, she recently died. So there are people who, and now,
nurturing.
Yes, they were nurturing, and you just felt
they had your best interest.
They had your best interest at heart. Yeah, interestingly enough, a colleague of mine, told me just a few months ago, and we were talking, and he says, Salesia, we talked about a lot of things, but I'll get to the gist of it. And he says, it's like somebody told you when you were young that you could do anything you wanted to, and you actually believed them.
That's powerful.
And I was like, yeah, I did.
Wow. And do you believe it was so it wasn't just your parents that told you that? Because it's all your parents instilled that in you first.
I guess so. But it's not like somebody comes to you and say, you can be anything you want, Beethoven. You can do that. Maybe they did, and I don't remember that. But it was just simply, let's go do. It's an introduction to various areas of society, various things, just a multitude of areas. You saw, I was exposed. I understood the value of reading the newspaper. I understood the value of my vote. I mean, the value of, my voice. As
being a great citizen.
Of a citizenship, yes. I understood, as a child, my father would take me to D.C. in the House, in chamber, in the Senate chamber. We would look at it. We would go to D.C. We took the train to D.C. to understand the political process. We would travel internationally to understand other people's cultures.
Wow.
So exposure. Exposures. We would go to the opera. We would go to fine dining so that it's not every day, but they were nurturing me and exposing me so that when I grew up and had the opportunity, hopefully, it would not be new. My father would say, I am showing you how I want. One day, when you are ready and a man wants to marry you, I'm showing you now how you should be treated.
So your father's presence and his raising, I'm raising you, he instilled in you. Wow, that's crazy. I think that's so powerful. And I think that's so important, though. So your father instilled in you the importance of, like, basically what you should expect from a quality husband.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And if it didn't come about, it wasn't the end of the world because I'd be okay. How
did that part come from? So he did both.
Yeah. And mind you now, I'm the only girl and I got 3 brothers.
So you definitely...
My grandfather was a mechanic, so I learned I could change my oil. Well, I had a VW Bug at first. Now I had my first 2 cars was a V. So, I could run out of gas, which I often did because the gas gauge didn't work. I knew how to put gasoline in there, start the clutch, hit it, and keep it going. Put it in the carburetor, keep it going. And I know.
Different.
Different. I could change a tire.
In a stand-up.
Yes. My grandfather was a barber, so I knew how to cut hair.
Wow.
I do my husband's.
So the hustler.
I still, to this day, I do my husband's. I do my own.
So not only you're a pharmacist.
I got a side hustle. I got side hustles. I got side hustles I don't get paid for.
So you're a pharmacist, you're an attorney, you're a mechanic, and you're a barber.
I'm not really a mechanic. I was back then today. I'm not a mechanic.
So the importance of the hustle for you, do you believe that helped you stay consistent, growing, and always developing?
Yes. Yes. Always seeking, always learning, always growing, always wanting. You ask, what does that more look like? I'm not sure. That more is someplace in the stratosphere. I just know that as long as my ship is in the water and my sail is cast, God will steer it. I cannot steer a ship that won't get in the water.
Sheesh. Okay, so the interview's over. We're at it now. No, I think let's get into now you, and after you get your law degree.
Okay.
Did you start working for a law firm? What did that process look like?
No, I never interviewed with anyone. After I got my law degree, and you have to then wait and take the bar exam and then wait for the results. And I remember that process.
Around what age were you around then?
I was 20, maybe 24. Let's see, 24, 25.
So when did you party? When did you hang out? When did you do
I did. I mean, I really had a rather balanced life. I really did. I mean, I went to football games. I went to now at different phases in pharmacy school. You ain't got time to do all that.
Right.
I mean, you really don't. You're locked in. But no, I pledged. In fact, I leave on Thursday to go and meet my line sisters for 37 years. We are still, all 9 of us are still close. We're 9 of us.
Amazing.
It's amazing. And I am so excited. We're meeting at my home in North Carolina. And 7 of us, 2 of us won't be able to make it, but we're going to have their pictures on like these little, like the stop sign sticks. So we're going to kind of, we're going to put them and kind of Photoshop them into the pictures. But no, I pledged AKA and I had fun.
You still enjoyed yourself.
I learned how to play spades. Yeah, I mean,
how to play spades.
You know,
that makes it official.
That's
right
official.
That, when you say how to play spades, I get it. You weren't just in the books because playing spades at fam had to be a whole different experience.
No.
So now you
fun.
get your law degree. You never made a decision to work for a law firm?
No.
That sounds so like the way you made it sound like it sounds so crazy what I'm talking about.
And it's not, looking back, no, I never.
Why not?
I have no explanation for that. I absolutely have none. In law school, I never went on an interview. I just knew that.
But you're going to own your own.
Well, I was either going to do that or perhaps corporate, go into a pharmaceutical company. And I did consider that because I was, what do you call it? Asked, or when people try to get you,
Recruit.
Thank you so much. I was recruited by pharmaceutical companies because it makes all the sense in the world. But I don't want to go to Minnesota, and I just didn't want to go. Yeah, I just didn't. I don't know. I really have no explanation.
You think it's watching your grandfather that owned businesses?
And my mother worked for someone for a while, but she owned her own law firm. And so
there was a lot of leadership in your family. So your father was the president of FAMU.
Yes.
Your mother eventually owned her own practice. Your grandfather.
And a newspaper.
So entrepreneurship was once again a part of the culture in your home.
Yes.
So when you got out of law school, it was like, oh, I'm gonna start my practice.
When I passed, and when I passed the bar and was sworn into the Florida State Supreme Court as a lawyer, I was already prepared. All my stuff is ready. I just hung up my shingle. I had it ready. It was just a matter of, because I couldn't do that until the official swearing in. That's against the bar rules, right? But as soon as I think that same day, because I had already.
So did you go work for your mom's practice?
Nope.
Or
I worked for my mom's practice in between. I mean, through law school, there are things that. So
you were around law.
I was around law, and you know what? Let me say something. That was one of the reasons why my mother said go to law school. Now, my aunts and uncles, I have aunts and uncles who are physicians, who are surgeons. So I would have been a good surgeon. But
your grandfather, this judge, knew what he was doing.
Well, that was Lee's side. That was Lee's side. Right.
Both sides.
Yeah, both sides. That's right. So, what was I going to tell you? My mom, one of the things that she said, which is true when you see people of other hues. Oftentimes, you will see the great-grandfather was a judge, the grandfather was a judge, the father's a judge, the son is a judge, the daughter's a lawyer. You see that history of the legacy of in the same profession. We as people of color, number one, we have not had that many years of opportunity.
Right.
Let's just start there. All right. And it's a constant growing learning phase for us because we're so far behind in terms of trying to catch up in society.
Stay on that point real quick. So a lot of people speak of this, and it's the thing on social media. It's everything. That's the conversation. But why didn't you make that an excuse?
To do what excuse?
Not to do. Because I've met several people that, they speak on how we're 400 years, all the things that's happening, but you decide to keep on going. Some people just stick on the fight where they want to fight about this is not right, or it's somebody else's fault that they're not successful. What separated you from not living in that spirit of blaming, and you decided to actually put the action behind it?
Well, let's first acknowledge the fact that the struggle is real.
100%.
And the struggle continues. And there's a lot of unfairness. There are a lot of inequities and injustices, which is what I fight. Which is what I fight for people and for myself every day. There's, as I say, life for me ain't no crystal stair. Okay?
Facts.
All right. So I never thought about it as an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
You just had to do it. I mean, you had to try.
So there was no option.
To try. You just had, what was I going to do?
Complain.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. No,
it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work. I know. No.
So I think that was the thing for me, because I think
you got to find a way.
I meet so many people that, the conversation that we're having constantly is, it's the man's fault. This is wrong. That's wrong.
Oh, no. The man can get you down now.
The man can get you down, but what keeps you up and why you keep on going?
Because you have a dream. You have a goal. You have a vision, and you have other people who are supporting that vision for you, even if you don't see it for yourself. And that's the nurturing part. Once you feel that, and you feel like you have the support system,
mm-hmm.
but even if you don't, it could be something that you don't even share with others.
You put your head down and go after it.
You have to have the internal fortitude, intestinal fortitude, the grit to keep going, to just find a way to do it. Kitty London is a great example, and she's, of course, not a lawyer, but in all that she does, I look at her and she really is an inspiration to me. So other people can be inspirations. They don't have to be your family member. They don't have to live 100%. With you. They don't actually, a lot of people are inspirations who you may have never, ever met.
I go through this a lot. I find a lot of people, like what you're talking of, for me, that's how I stay connected. I watch so many people on YouTube and different content, mm-hmm. and I get inspiration from their processes, the things that their challenges, the things they've been through. Even when I meet certain people, the first thing I really ask about is their failures, their learning processes. What did they go through and how did they get through it? Success, I could see all this stuff. You could tell me about all the great things that you've been through in your success. So I want to know a little bit more even about your process of the opening up the process. Open up the practice. How did that, and what's some of the trial and error that you go through for that?
Oh, that's a, you need more time.
We're good.
The process was, I had already, like we spoke when I walked in the door. I knew that I passed the bar. I just had to get sworn in. So after the passing the bar, though, and something that people may not know, mm-hmm. general public, just because you pass the bar, you graduate from law school, you pass the bar, does not automatically make you a lawyer.
Wow. Never knew that.
No. You have one more step, and that is the Florida Bar of Board Examiners. You have a character assessment. I know. Florida has about 100, just shy of 110,000 lawyers in the state of Florida today.
So everywhere have the same practice? Of they have to go through those steps?
I don't know about other states. No, I don't know about other states, but Florida, yes. I'm not a member of any other state bar. Florida is the only state bar I'm a member of. I'm a member of the federal bars, the Southern District, Northern District, Middle District, and 11th Circuit, and the United States Supreme Court. So I'm a member of those bars for practicing, but Florida is the only state. So for Florida, you have and probably so. I know Texas does. But yeah, so another catch for, as you call it, the man can catch you, right? Typically, it's not often that you have anyone of color on the Florida Board of Bar Examiners. Right. And those, I believe, are 6-year terms. So we can be excluded in a number of ways, even when we have successfully completed our track. Okay. So, yeah.
I've been through it.
Yeah.
I understand.
So I remind law students that this ain't the end. You still got to do. So there are certain things that you want to, now, especially with social media, certain things you probably want to kind of
I was going to ask you, what are they looking for?
Nowadays, I don't know. I've been a lawyer now for 28 years. So they're looking. Let me tell you, they're looking for, or supposed to be looking for, if you've got a criminal history, whether or not that criminal history of any sort is something that would make you unfit to be a lawyer. What was it about? They're looking for, do you have any debt? Okay.
Wait a minute. You went to law school.
Yes. So they're not looking at the law school debt. They're not going to look to them. I say to themselves, to your own profession. They're looking for other debt, your credit card debt, your healthcare debt. One of mine that held me up, and it held me up for a couple of months because I had a medical debt.
So you went to law school. You're past your bar. You're ready now because you got to make some money. Passed the bar
the first time.
And they could still stop you if you have bad credit?
Debt, not credit, but debt. So I had a medical bill outstanding. I don't even know what the medical bill outstanding was. I have no idea. Yeah. So they can put roadblocks.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, yes.
I never even knew this was a thing.
Oh, yes. Well, others with criminal records who don't look like us, who
it gets passed by. So then what happens when you got to that part? So that was a hurdle for you?
That was a huge hurdle. My mother represented me. I had a lawyer. I had counsel.
Wait, so whoa.
No, I had counsel. We had to go before the committee, MBOC, meaning MBOC committee, where they...
Your mom's fight was pretty natural. She was ready for this one.
Yeah, but it was also personal and passionate because she's my mom.
Yeah, that's what I was definitely.
Right. And so, it was an obstacle.
So how long of a process did you have to wait?
It's been 28 years. I don't remember, but it was a few months.
A few months.
It's a few months. It wasn't quick. And you're waiting there saying...
I thought that was a thing. So after you get... So now let's go into the good things. I want to skip. I never knew that was even a thing.
Yes.
So after you get that certificate, like you're ready to go, the accomplishment...
Get sworn in. Mm-hmm. I had a private swearing in with by Justice Hatchett, Joseph Hatchett, in his chambers for me to be sworn in. And I walked out of there. We had lunch, and I hung my shingle that was sitting on the desk waiting for me to hang it.
The desk at your mom's office?
I was at my mom. So I worked because I couldn't work as a lawyer. Yeah, I couldn't. So at the time, I worked as a pharmacist doing this process. No, I'm still working as a pharmacist.
Still a pharmacist in this whole thing?
Yeah, I had to support myself.
Yeah, like it was a regular...
I had to work. I worked as a pharmacist through law school. After law school, when I hung my shingle, I was just opening. I had no clients.
Well, you're just a pharmacist.
I had no clients, so I had to. But I knew what I was planning to do to procure clients. Remember this? This was back in the day, Beethoven, when we had pagers. Okay.
So long ago.
That was a long time ago. We had pagers and we had the cell phones really had just kind of come out, and there were those like Motorola big old things you could throw it across all the way to California, it dropped down, throw it off a building, and it was it hurt somebody and still work. Okay. So that was back in the day. So but no, really, I knew what I wanted to do and I knew people in Tallahassee. I believed that they would trust me. During law school, I tried cases because I was certified in law school. There was a special program to try cases, and I did, and I was successful at winning cases as a law student. Of course, there is a lawyer I was with the public defender doing this. It's like a can't even think of the name of it, but there's a special certification program, and I was successful trial lawyer doing that, and so I knew that I would do trial work. I had the gumption to know that I could do that, but I had no clients and I had no money to do this. Yeah, I'm like, I could do this, but I need some revenue, and I did not work. Once I became a lawyer, I worked with my mother. I did not work for my mother.
I know that clearly.
Because we wanted to be mother-daughter well.
Understand.
Right? And so we had an agreement of how we were going to work on cases together when that arose. So I worked as a pharmacist by night. I did the night shifts at the hospital and retail on the weekends. So no, really.
As an attorney and
I was an attorney by day. I was a pharmacist by evening.
So how did you, because the way my brains work, how did you introduce yourself? Hey, what do you do for a living?
I said, well, I'm a pharmacist and I'm a lawyer.
And how old were you around that time?
About 26.
I was like, yeah, you're lying. Keep it moving. But go ahead.
26.
There's no, for me, understand the importance and the value of education, but to really conquer both of those things, they look like two pillars that is just so intimidating. So I want to get into this part. How was it in the dating experience now as an attorney and a pharmacist? What kind of guy, and also with your grandfather and your father and all these great men in your family.
Oh,
how did that work? How did that conversation? How could somebody even strike a conversation and really get to the point to marrying you? How did that work?
They would have to be very secure. That's for one. But in terms of dating, first of all, a date. Now you have different levels of dating. Mm-hmm. And I tell this to my female friends. A date is simply a date. That is no romantic thing. That's going to the movies. It's just a date. That's
just
not
have a friend that you can
That's a friend. That is not a date is a date. Yeah. The end, period.
Everybody have a different understanding what a date is.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a romantic date is something different. So I could talk, and I still do. I talk to everybody. So striking up a conversation, we just met, and I can talk to anybody.
I think when we get into the romantic dating, the intimidation, I just think people will be intimidated by the titles that you hold.
But I don't.
You don't carry that in your conversation.
Yeah, I don't wear that on. It's there's no billboard that says that.
A lot of people do.
I introduce myself as I'm Salesia.
So because also your husband is an attorney, so
no, he's not. He's a mediator. He's not an attorney.
Oh, I thought he was an attorney also.
No, he's not a lawyer.
So how did that whole thing come about?
Oh, it was a blind date with my husband.
It was a blind date.
Had a blind date, believe it or not, blind date. So this is a true story. So I told you we lived outside of Boston.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know.
Well, my father was president of Roxbury Community College in Boston.
And then he
came to FAM. So we lived, in the Boston area. Grew up in Natick.
I grew up in Connecticut.
Did you? So there you go. Okay, there you go.
I get it now.
So I had an orthodontist in Boston named Dr. Bill Bryant. And so when I moved to South Florida, I practiced in Tallahassee. I moved to South Florida a few years later, maybe 5 years later, and to Stewart. Why Stewart? That's a whole nother ballgame. But, when you're moving to Stewart, not everybody, but many people live in what's called Palm City. It's here, many people live on Village or one of those places until they're on Village. Yeah, right. So Palm City is the Sunset Trace. I remember that. And there was a gentleman who I met who was Black, and he was a dentist or orthodontist. And remember now, I was 11 in Boston, 10, 11, 12. And he would, nurture me. He would, it was very nice. It's welcoming, anything you need, very welcoming. It was not until, and I think he realized, I knew that he knew my parents, which was great. A lot of people did. He realized that I really did not remember who he was. He looked familiar. He sounded familiar. But in the recesses of my mind. So one day after a lunch, he took me to his office. Mm-hmm. And as I was walking out of the door, there are pictures on the wall of him through the years. And it stopped. And there was a picture of him that it was not of me, looked just like it was in Boston. He had a beard much like yours now. And I said, you're my orthodontist. He says, I was wondering when you were going to figure that out.
So that's when it got connected.
So he knew that I was, of course, single. And he knew my now husband separately, and he was single. And he says, they called me up one day. I was having lunch with someone else. He says, Salesia, I want you
having lunch with someone a friend or someone else you were dating?
No, someone else, just a friend. It was a business lunch, actually. And he called me up, and because it was Bill, I answered during the business lunch because he didn't just call me randomly just to call. And he says, listen, I want you to do this by the end of the day. Okay. What is it? He says, now promise me you'll do it. Okay. What is it? He says, I want you to call this number, call this person. And I'm telling you, I don't know. And he told me his name was Lawrence Gordon. And I don't know if it's going to be just a basic friendship, a professional relationship, or something more. But you're going to call him today. Now, he didn't say, wait for his call.
Right.
He said, I want you to call him. Now, he had to make me promise because he knows that I'm awful at doing that. I just, whatever.
I get it.
So I did it just really to get Bill off my back, to say, yes, okay, fine. And it was a good ploy, because that's how, when you're meeting somebody or going on a date, you don't know. It's not a romantic. It could be friendships, associates, just somebody for you to meet, to know, and maybe it'll develop anymore. So I called Lawrence, introduced myself. He acted like he had no idea of why I was calling.
Come on.
And little did I know Bill had done the same to him. I didn't know that until months later. And so I called him up and I asked him for lunch. Lunch is always safe. Lunch, I did.
That.
Yeah, I asked him for lunch. A lunch date or lunch meeting is always safe, and because you can go home. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
Right.
I understand.
So I called him for lunch, and he told me no.
Oh my God.
And I remember saying, "What?"
Now you wasn't gonna just stop there.
I said, "What? What?"
Not what, me?
Me? I'm like, why? I said, Bill wants us to meet. I think we should meet. And he says, well, I'm going out of town to Memphis. And I said, okay, well, maybe when you get back. Then, no harm, no foul. I've done what I was supposed to do.
You did your part.
I did my part. Well, it was maybe a week later, something like that. He called to set up another lunch. And we were doing this for maybe a week or two because we couldn't find a good lunchtime. He's in West Palm. I'm in Stewart. And for some reason, our schedules just exploded. So long story short, we ended up meeting for dinner, an early dinner, which was ended up being a wonderful, it ended up being a wonderful situation, but I was late. I was not late. I was late, but I called the restaurant to indicate I was late as soon as I could. But what I was so nervous about meeting him for dinner and going from Stewart. Now, mind you, I came from Tallahassee. For me to come to West Palm with the traffic, I was not used to this. Yeah. I was not used to this traffic and these. I was just out of sorts with that, and I locked myself out of my office. I literally locked myself out of my office. The cleaning guy was there. The door closed behind me and it locked. Crap. I have no keys. So finally, I've had to run around, find the cleaning guy, get in, call the restaurant. I didn't have his cell. I only had the office number, and to let him know.
Guys are so patient. So go ahead.
Yeah, right. That was.
Keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, I made it down to where we met for dinner, and long and short is we've been together ever since. We sat there and we talked and we ate and we drank wine for over 2 hours, and we actually closed the restaurant.
From lunch?
No, for dinner. Remember, that's for dinner. Okay. I was nervous about dinner because this was a dinner. So
yeah, okay. I was like, my goodness, you said lunch. That's a long. No. That's a long lunch. I think for me, I thought your husband was an attorney.
No, he's a mediator, and he was
counsel.
He is. He's vice mayor of the town of Haverhill, and tomorrow he will be sworn in as the president of the Palm Beach County League of Cities.
Congratulations!
I'm very proud of him. Yes,
we are proud of him. That's amazing. I think I want to go into also some of your hurdles that you've been through in the process of service.
Okay.
What some of going into the practice of personal injury. Why'd you pick that?
Well, mind you, for me, I didn't start off doing PI. I thought that I would, but I had no experience. My experience in law school was under the guise of the public defender's office as a student. So I was trying first degree homicide cases, arson cases. That's how my first case was, a first degree arson case.
Wow.
That had arson, which resulted in a death. That was my first case.
How was that? How was that process for you, taking all that? Were you in the defending side, or were you
defending? I was a student, and what happened was whatever lawyer, mind you, I was a student in law school under the certification program, and the lawyer who was supposed to try the case got sick. Apparently, nobody in the office thought they could win the case. So who are they going to give it to? The intern.
That's crazy.
The intern. Let's give it to the intern. But the supervising public defender was there with me.
Okay.
So somebody had to try. But this was an opportunity. So I took it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I had 3 days to prepare. He was ready. I mean, the supervising lawyer knew the case now. So I had 3 days to prepare. And I did. I stayed up and I prepared. And I saw it in my head. The process I saw in my head, the client, the facts. I met the client. I remember shaving the client. Client needed to be shaved. I was like, you can't come into the courthouse looking like
this
that.
barber skill that you.
I didn't think about that. Oh my goodness, that's right. I never did thought about that. Oh my gosh, I did.
Your first, this is crazy.
I did.
So your first.
He walked in the door. I was like, no, boo boo.
I'm a barber. I'm also a barber.
I'm not a barber.
If you need me to work in your car after this, I can do that too.
But I remember, I said, somebody get me a razor, and we shaved it and made it look nice. Combed his hair. Yeah.
So, what was the result?
We won.
Your first case
won it.
That you was told to prepare in 3 days, you won.
Yep.
So that momentum
carried through. Yes.
It carried through. So
it's not merely the momentum that I want people to understand. Yes, the momentum carried through, but what really carried through was the confidence. It was the learning experience and the level of confidence
that you gained from that one
case? That you gained from overall. That one confidence becomes a momentum, and the one case gives you a boost of confidence, but it also carries the momentum of what's next. And what's next. Don't want someone to think, oh, you win all your trials, you win all your cases. That would be a lie. That would not be true. Win most of them. And you win some that you shouldn't win, and you lose some you shouldn't lose.
Right.
Okay. And, but it gives you confidence of speaking. It gives you confidence of standing before people. It gives you confidence of a voice, that you have a voice of something to say that's going to, because I believed, I believed the case. I believed what I was saying.
That's the important part.
Yeah. For me, it is. Yeah, for me, it is.
So now let's talk a little bit about the difficult ones that you had, that you believe you were supposed to win, and how that process, how did you feel about those? Of course, not good, but give me a little bit more than that.
Sometimes those that you don't win, there's a lot to learn. I think I've learned more from losses than I have from wins. Wins, you gain confidence. Losses, but I still go back even with wins to see what I could have done better, what I could have done differently. For losses, there are a couple of things, because you asked me at the beginning, a couple of things I have had to learn. One is that and this is over years, and having nurturing friends too. One is there's only so much time you have to be sorrowful and to grovel in this loss. Now, at this point, I give myself 48 hours. That's it.
Created a system for that.
Yeah, that's it. I can beat myself up for 24. I can reflect, but I only got 48 hours. And I only have 48 hours, and sometimes I don't have that. But in terms of my own inner system of before I move forward. Because, number one, you have other clients waiting on you.
Mm.
You have other people depending on you.
So sitting there
ain't the answer. You got to move forward because you have responsibilities. Keep it moving.
Let me ask you this question. Would you hire yourself and why?
Absolutely.
So why would you hire yourself?
Because I'm fantastic.
We all know that. We all know that. But what separates you from others? Not even what really separates you. I think that's a question, because it's very similar in most aspects on law. But like, why would you hire you?
I would hire me because, one, you're going to get somebody who is going to care about you.
That's big.
Okay. You're not a number. Somebody who actually is going to care. Somebody who's going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of fluff or, I'm going to get you whatever a bill. Okay. Whatever that billboard says, I'm going to get you that. I'm also going to educate you about the process so that you can avoid, no one, so you can have knowledge of what's going on, is your case. But also if there's some deficiencies in what I see in your insurance policy, things that could have protected you, I'm going to educate you so that you know, and then you can hopefully tell other family members or friends so that they can make the necessary changes. My voice alone isn't enough. It has to be a village process.
So I think I hear the same thing, that's crazy, from your upbringing. The nurturing, because it sounds like right away you said you care for your clients.
I do.
And I think that's so important.
I do. I really do. I really do.
And I think I'm just listening to you. I think what I get from it right away, your upbringing of the nurturing, you said also even your friends nurture you.
Absolutely.
So I think that nurturing.
If your friends can't nurture you, you need some new friends.
I'm getting rid of everybody today. My friends are so mean. Like, I'm literally getting rid of everybody today. No, yeah. They definitely nurture me in their way.
But some, really, friendships have different roles. All friends are not equal.
I think all my friends are savages, so I don't really know if I have a nurturing friend, but I do. I definitely do, because they nurture me their way. I have a lot of mentors that nurture me in a certain, in a way, their way. And I respect their way of doing it. Mm-hmm. But I think just listening to what you're talking about in your practice, it started from the beginning, nurturing. I consistently keep on hearing you talking about how nurturing is part of your everyday lifestyle.
I think it is. I never really thought about it that way until you just brought it up. I do that with my staff. I want to show them what I know so that they know how to apply it to other cases, but to their everyday lives. We use examples that we go through ourselves because we're human beings and clients go through similar situations. You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to be hit by a UPS truck today, right, and I know what to do. No, that doesn't quite happen that way. But the process of healing, the process of having your life disrupted tremendously, you need that
nurturing at that
and
moment.
Knowing how to move forward, because maybe you can't work anymore or can't work for a period of time, but you're the only breadwinner in the house and you got children to feed. You've got,
So you have encouragement. There's so many things
It's a lot of things wrapped up into it.
So it's not really just the paperwork side of it.
Oh, no. That's the easier part.
So, and I think for me, when we first got started before we even started this show, I think we talked about your branding and your marketing, as what I specialize in marketing and branding. I truly believe that's your secret. That's your touch, because more clients will be more connected because the moment you start dealing with an attorney, you just think it's about a bunch of papers and law stuff. And you're like, sometimes you need that extra nurturing as part of it to understand, so they could be patient with you. So when you're going through a process like that, I believe you're going to need patience. You're going to need all these things. And nurturing is that thing. So when we talk about, I got the aha for you. I figured I want a percentage of the business now, just because I came up with it. I think for me, the nurturing side and you educating the client, I think that's what separates your business right away from what I've been, what we've been talking about, what we talked about before this show. I really think in your branding, you should really double down on that.
Yeah.
Letting people learn you and your upbringing, who you are as a person, and why you are really why you do what you do.
I do. And our motto for, I guess, 20 years has been, work hard for those seriously injured to rebuild their lives.
I think that's big. But it's bad that I just automatically get to work in my mind when you start talking about that. I think where you are in 20 years in business, I don't know if you
28.
28. So I apologize.
Hey, that counts.
Very important.
It counts.
But I'm just adding to your branding. Once again, it's just how my mind works. I think while you rebranding and enhancing your brand, not rebranding where you're taking away, and part of the enhancement of your brand, and part of that you're developing more legacy in your company, I believe you should really double down on, of course, they know the work. You're 20 years in business. They get that part. 28. Listen, I promise you, 28 is my number. I'm locked in. The part of your 28 years in business, I really think now the story is going to get people connected more. The information you're going to give out on your YouTube channel and your different platforms to bring more value into is going to help develop more of the branding for the next chapter of the practice of what you're doing, how you're doing it. And not only that, what your company represent in this chapter of the rebranding.
From your lips to God's ears.
No, 100%, because I see it. I think you have the legacy part of the 28 years consistently being in business. I think that's the big thing.
We're very proud. I mean, I try to make the environment where we work. I own the business. I own the commercial. My husband and I own the commercial property downtown West Palm Beach. I'm the only female in downtown West Palm Beach who owns the building with her name on it.
One time.
For over, how long have we been?
And you're a black
yes.
woman. Just want to be clear.
That's right. I'm the only woman, and I'm also black.
Just want to be clear on that. Yeah. That's super amazing. I think that's dope. I think that's...
And I know other women
I think that's super influential. I think I want to add to that, and I want to sponsor the first one. I think I want to sponsor a group of young ladies, black, white, purple, whatever it is, to come and see your practice. I think you should do something like that.
I love to. It's just we got so much construction going around on us.
Oh yeah,
right now
they're developing right now.
They're developing right. So our building is on 2nd Street, 922 2nd Street. You were able to see it from the corner of Banyan and Tamarind. The front of the building, though, faces 2nd Street. Most people can see it from the corner, which is Banyan, Tamarind. But now they've built a 9-story, I don't know if it's a condo or apartment. That's what they're doing. I see that construction happening. So what we did, my husband and I said, okay, we didn't own the property next door, which is the corner. Yeah. So we bought it.
I tell you.
We bought it. So
I don't know if you guys are looking for a nephew. I don't know if you want to add me to I'm open to being part of the Smith-Gordon family. That is a great, great business move. That is great to be in that corner. And
it's being able to be fortuitous looking. You have to look ahead at what your options are. And I say that for this purpose only, that other people, other black women and men can do the same. Brian Boysaw did it as well.
Yes, he is. He is.
So, so I, give him a shout out.
Yeah, great. Definitely. And he practiced injury law also.
He does the same kind of law. Yes, he does. And he's not far from me in the Northwest District.
Proud of you guys. Good job.
Absolutely.
But I think that's another big thing. Why did you decide to purchase that building where your practice is and not just lease for years? Like, where did you get that concept to purchase the building?
To lease.
Wait. Is lease a bad thing? Because the way you just said it, like, to lease, like, why would anybody do that?
Yeah, why would you do that?
So, like, for me, I have an example of where I took a L on. I messed up. The building across the street from us, the cafe that I built, I didn't purchase the building. I didn't know. And I had no one to speak with me about, you should do that first. I have blue collar family members. My parents bought property that they live in, they rent out, but I have no one that I was able to speak with commercial. I was told you lease the building, but then I put over $300,000 into a building.
Man,
that I never bought.
Don't let me choke you.
I promise you could choke me 3 times, and I'll still come back. That's how I am. But I didn't know any better. So for me, I literally just knew I wanted to create something amazing for the community.
Yes.
But I never knew I should have bought the building first. I just didn't know. That's just my reality.
So why buy? No, you don't have to buy. And most people don't. Most businesses don't. They lease and they take the write-off as a lease. Mm-hmm. If you lease, you don't have an asset.
The asset and liability, 2 different conversations.
Your wealth growth is from assets. And the one thing that is not being created anymore, except for volcanoes somewhere in the ocean, is land. That's not been land. It is what it is.
Once again, though, how did you know to do that? Because I saw my parents purchase homes.
My parents own the buildings. Where we
So
practice.
Your norm is not normal.
It's normal.
It's normal for you and so I know.
I'm not an island.
No, I'll break it down for you because I grew up without the same, like you grew up with parents that purchased commercial building. I grew up with parents that bought homes and rented out. So I understand that.
Yes.
But how many people?
Which I'd like to do. I'd like to be able to do what your parents did.
But I would like to do what your parents did and what you did.
See, then that's why you talk and you learn from each other.
So I think that's what I want to talk. I think that's one of the points that I want to make is that your norm and my norm are 2 different, very similar. I think we both had loving, caring parents. They were nurturing their way, very disciplined, very strict.
You know what you know.
They had to talk to me about education because that wasn't my first. I didn't know the point of it. It never made sense to me. So they had to. So, but now, like I said, the purchasing of the commercial building, I don't know a lot of friends that grew up with parents that own commercial building. You had parents in your home that own commercial buildings. So when you got into your practice, you automatically knew I'm going to purchase this building.
Well, I rented. I mean, I was a renter, a tenant of other buildings for 15 years before we did that. But where I was, which was a wonderful place, and it was where I was last, was on Olive Street. And I had an upstairs office, and I had some ancillary offices for staff. But I knew that I needed more space. Mm-hmm. And instead of going to another place or renting a space, and we had the income, I had just had a victory of a $1.9 million trial. That was my first. That was my first PI case, actually.
Wait. We're not gonna just run through that.
Okay.
So your first win as a criminal defense attorney was a win.
Was a win, yes.
Your first case as a PI was a win.
Was a win, and it was the largest verdict in Volusia County for years.
And that's normal to you.
Let me put it, it's normal for a lot of people who may not look like us, but it's normal to other folks. So, you know what I'm saying?
Normalize.
It's all relative. It's relative.
Got it. Now I'm getting it. I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. But, there are Black lawyers who have a very similar path. Mm-hmm. I'm not an island.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You look at Willie Gary, you look at H.T. Smith. You got
100%.
Right. All right. So, I forgot what we were talking about.
No. I think all of it's all connected. It's all good. So I want to talk about one last thing because your cheerleader, Kitty London, spoke a little bit about you guys have an organization or the women attorneys, Black women.
So yes,
I want you to talk about that before we close out.
Okay, all right. So yes, what she's talking about is the Cherie Davis Cunningham Black Women Lawyers Association. Okay, Cherie Davis Cunningham is a recently retired judge here in Palm Beach County. She was the first Black judge in Palm Beach County.
So it wasn't Judge Rogers, or he was the first Black attorney?
He was one of the first Black attorneys. He was a circuit court judge. Cherie Davis is a county court judge.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming that's okay.
Okay, and believe it, when my mom was studying for the Bar Association, that's when I met Cherie. She and my mom studied for the bar together.
Wow.
It's a small world, isn't it? It really is. A community. It's a village. And, but I'm not one of the founders. I'm one of the charter members. I also serve the role as treasurer and secretary. I don't know how I got 2 roles there for this wonderful organization because it's needed. The ABA, the American Bar Association, did a study not long ago and indicated that 70% of the Black women lawyers were leaving the profession of law.
Wow.
Yes. Why? Because of inequalities, not feeling like they have a voice, not feeling like they were making the inroads and their own dreams come true.
How do you guys support?
Well, we're a new organization. So one of the things that we wanted to do for this organization, and we still do, is to first identify all the Black women lawyers in the county. Let's start there. People think that we know each other. We don't.
Right. The assumption is real.
Yeah, we don't. You go to, just like everybody else, you get in a car, you go to work, you're in your office,
you go home.
And you go home. Yes. So we really don't know each other. And so it was to get all of us together, judges and Black women lawyers, so that we know that we were not alone, to find out the commonalities of feeling disenfranchised, to find out the commonalities of feeling like you don't have a voice and how you do have a voice.
You guys need a podcast.
Thank you. Okay. We'll talk about that. To find the commonalities of how do you progress? How do you still step forward when you don't have the support in your office space where you are to move forward? How do you know how to negotiate or how to interview with a Next Era or an FP&L or Salesia Smith-Gordon?
The support, the connection, the accountability, the support. Like you're now nurturing.
We're nurturing each other.
What a coincidence, nurturing.
I guess so. And there you go. It keeps coming back.
If you had an opportunity, I mean, if there was one last thing that you wanted to share with the viewers and the audience that's watching this.
I don't know where they're watching. I don't even know where they're watching.
Yeah, trust me, they're looking at you.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
What would you leave them with that could give them the most value?
Oh.
You think I should have sent you that question?
It would have been good for you to send me any question, anything.
I'd rather organic.
This is truly organic. I think what comes to mind is have a goal for you. Write the goal down. That's biblical. It's also scientific. The act of writing down whatever it is that you want, that you're thinking, connects the brain to the paper. Don't ask me how. It's like, I don't know how a microwave works. I just know.
Pharmacist and attorney,
right. I don't know. I don't know. Microwave, just hit the button and it works. Don't ask me how.
Right.
But it does. It forces you to think and foster with particularities to write down what you are thinking. You don't have to share it with anyone, but write it. Okay. Bible says you write it and make it plain. Okay. And so from that, it gives you can always erase it. You can also cross it out and do something else. But it gives you a structure for you to know that you can achieve. And then from that, once you start writing, then it's like you'll keep writing others of what you want to do and how you're going to accomplish that. So I have like I have in my head, but written down boards of, okay, this is my goal, and this is how I'm going to get there, even daily.
Wow.
For even a client's case, if I'm talking to you, this is what I want to get out, and this is how I'm going to prove this, and this is the testimony I need for this. And yeah, so you write it. Have coping skills. When I say coping skills to get through life, I'm not talking about simply prayer. And I don't say that in jest, but God created everything. That means he created other activities for you to do. Mm-hmm. So find something that is going to get you through, something that you enjoy, that's going to help you get through hard times. That's going to give you a respite so that your mind can be clear. You need that. That's going to be a help. Let me rephrase that. A healthy respite so that your mind can be clear and let the universe, God, infuse into you. And it's a practice. It's little by little. I know it sounds goofy or whatever it is, but when you really think, some people just get in the car. If you want to get in the car and go for a drive, or if you want to garden, it's disconnecting, but doing something that's fruitful. Mine is usually gardening or going to the stables and shoveling horse manure for the horse or something like that.
Yeah, that's not a. Once again,
that's not normal. Okay, that's not normal. Yeah, that part is not normal to want to shovel horse manure. Yeah. But it's very cathartic. So
you're not in no island, okay. But so everybody's gonna have horses. Just go, but let's go.
But so you're gonna find your way of coping so that you can continue with your grit and feel like you can go forward. Third, you need friends that are true friends that are going to tell you the truth of where you are. The issue with that is that some of your friends may not see your vision. So you have to be careful of who you share that with so that you can have the nurturer that you want. Because friends and families, or even enemies, doesn't matter because you know where they're coming, want the best for you, but may not understand your vision and know that you can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Understand.
So they're trying, their dissuasion.
Protect your vision.
Right. Their dissuasion may be in a protection mode, not for a jealousy mode. Different. And with that, you should always have friends who you admire, who know a lot more than you and who have more than you. You cannot be the smartest person in the room all the time or the wealthiest person all the time, because if you are, where are you going to learn?
Right. Where do you grow from here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky I'm in a room with you, and I'm going to go hang out with your horses next week.
Oh, my goodness.
And I know I'm in a room with a wealthier person than me, so this is amazing for me. No, I'm good. But thank you. No, I really thank you. I greatly appreciate you being open and honest and clear to the viewers, to myself, just learning more about you, who you are. And I definitely believe there's going to be a lot more to come with us. I think you have value and you have principles that I think will bring more value to people. And I think the more we're able to share that and you're able to inspire more people. There's so much I want to share with the public that I see every day that is so disheartening at times, things that we as people of color just don't know in terms of insurance and what we're paying for and what we shouldn't be paying for. And that's a very general statement because everybody's wallet is different. But when there's an injury, an accident, a crash, a collision, impalement, whatever happens to the body is what I do. And when I'm reviewing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, please let there be the right coverage. Let the person understand the process. And those are things that I want to instill in people so that they have a fuller life. Start a podcast. I think for me, I would like you to leave your information for people that's in need of that great service that you provide. Sure. And the nurturing that you're going to bring into all the service that you provide. How would they get in contact with you? Your office number, and also people that's looking for a new mentor. Just put that on you that you're going to help mentor some people. I don't mentor. I'm going to give you the information, but let me address the last first, and that is mentorship. Mentorship comes in various forms. It does. I have 2 mentees,
And when I say mentees, when I say that somebody is a mentee, I take that seriously. And so one has been my mentee since she's entered, actually before she entered pharmacy school. She was still a high school student, and we are still friends now. She's a doctor of pharmacy now. And this has been, 12 years? So that relationship, that I take that seriously, including going home shopping with her, finding a home, finding a realtor, all just aspects of life. Mm-hmm. Both of the young ladies are that way. Others are more tangential. You are, talking to people at different phases, more group situations, because really you only have so many hours in a day. And I too need a mentor.
Wow.
Okay, so you need mentors, you need advocates, and you need sponsors. You need three things, and they're not the same people. They're not the same people. So we'll talk over another.
Yeah, because I want to fit in one of those characters. First of all, I'm looking to be part of the will, so I'm open. Beethoven. So thank you very much.
Okay, I'm Salesia. I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking here, but I'm Salesia Smith-Gordon. That's spelled S as in Sam, Alesia. And Smith-Gordon is hyphenated. Phone number is 561-655-9279. 561-655-9279. The website, please go to it, is smithgordonlaw.com.
Could they follow you on any social media platform?
Absolutely. I post on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a Twitter account, but I'm just telling you straight up, I'm not there.
Instagram's good enough. Go ahead. What's that?
So there, Facebook, Instagram, website, and I have a newsletter.
So how can they sign up for the newsletter through your website?
Mm-hmm.
And that newsletter eventually will have a podcast that they're able to learn.
I love from your lips to God's ears.
I think it's going to be important. And the reason I'm the advocate for this podcasting thing right now, it just creates more opportunity for people to give their value and give their message out.
Yes.
And give more value to people by learning more. Because it sounds like you want people to learn more about injury and laws and the practice and all the insurance and all these different things.
I think would be very, very valuable because everybody who has a car, you're paying an insurance company. Most people, they're paying a bill every month for the ability to drive on the road. But you ask people, even lawyers, if they don't practice personal injury law, most don't even know this either because that's not what they do every day. But we're paying insurances without knowing what benefits we're getting from the insurance. That can be for health insurance too. You paying a health insurance bill, you know what your copay is, what does it cover? Same for auto, same for house. So all of these, any of those could happen in the sphere of what I do, which is injury to the body.
But I think you giving people that information, they're ready for it.
All right, I'm ready to give it.
It's been real.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.